All right, let me talk to you real quick about Rexius Nutrition in Ralston. Rexius carries an awesome line of pre-workout from brands like Alpha Lion, Bucked Up, 5150, Insane Labs, and several other brands. They also have a great selection of protein powder, including my personal favorite, the All Max Hexapro cookies and cream flavored. Can't go wrong with that. They also carry the very popular brand Accent Sledge protein powders, branched chain amino acids, which are crucial to stay hydrated, and pre-workout. They also carry locally owned brands like VHI Fit, carry their protein powders in several different flavors. They also have pre-workout, branched chain amino acids, vegan protein powder as well. And if you have a sweet tooth like me, you gotta try this Omaha protein popcorn. The owners Jamie and Brent Stryker are absolute studs and are very knowledgeable with a background in bodybuilding. Jamie even reached pro status as an IFBB pro women's physique competitor. Stop by Rexius Nutrition in Ralston on the corner of 84th and Q and receive 10% off when you tell them you're there on an official visit.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Oscar Galindo. I am here with another episode of The Official Visit. We're back to do with another weekly installment of the rankings. And then we also got a couple other things I wanted to talk about in this episode. So, we kicked off week one already. Some teams have already 2 games deep. Some just started off their season. So we're gonna take a look at that and go through the rankings and see which teams moved up, which teams moved down, all that kind of stuff, which teams to watch. So we'll do all that. So for my Class A top 10, I have number 1 West Side, 2 Omaha North, 3 Elkhorn South, 4 Millard South, 5 Bellevue West, 6 Gretna, 7 Papillion La Vista, 8 Kearney, 9 Grand Island, number 10 Papillion La Vista South. Number 1 right off the bat, no change from last week. We got Westside. Came out, dominated on all 3 facets of the game. Caleb Benning had a monster game. Jamez Ross had a monster game. Anthony Rizek, I don't think he had a monster game, but he kind of just had to do, when they're up like that and playing how as well as they were, didn't have to do anything crazy for them to win. So, 57-7 over Creighton Prep. They do host number 9 Grand Island in a rematch of last year's semifinal. So that'll be an interesting one to watch. And number 2, moving up. It feels a little unfair moving Elkhorn South down, especially after they had a very impressive win over a solid Lincoln Southeast team. But just the way the Omaha North defense just played against playmakers that they have on Bellevue West, just the way Omaha North's defense came out and played against a team with the amount of playmakers that Bellevue West has, was crazy to watch. I know Isaiah McMorris didn't play. That probably could have changed some things, but regardless, you still have Daniel Kalen, Power 5 quarterback, Davon Hall, Power 5 receiver, Ben Goodwater, who's a very, very good receiver, talented backfield. So just for the North to be able to 25-7 hold them to a touchdown, just kind of speaks highly of the type of defense they should be fielding this year. Champ Davis had a monster game. Sebastian Serco, that connection is going to be dangerous. I will talk a little bit more about Champ later in the episode. He had X amount of 6 receptions for 180 some yards and 3 touchdowns. He's really the one. He's really someone that is gonna elevate this year, and yeah, he's gonna rack up some offers before the season's over. Number 3, Elkhorn South. Like I said, it felt unfair moving them down a spot. Especially after they went out and dominated. But it's still early in the season. They have a big matchup this week against Millard South, number 4 Millard South. That's going to be one to watch. They're at Millard South, so they'll be playing them in front of that rowdy crowd that they have over there. Carson Rauner looked incredible. Had like a 92-yard touchdown run. Defense looked great. The offense was moving. 300. They're gonna have Brady Busquets, a senior, Gavin Shanahan, a junior, and then Jaden Sutko was a huge. Not surprised because you know he's a really good player, but with those other two guys, you would think they'd get the majority of the carries, but the fact that Jaden got some carries as well, yeah, they're gonna be running the ball very well. Offensive line has looked great, so yeah, we'll see how they hold up against Millard South. Who at number 4, they're coming off a 28-27 win over Millard West. Hard fought battle for sure. They, the offense looked good. There were some points where I guess they kind of started off a little bit slow, but once they picked up, they kind of found their groove. The defensive line is going to be nasty. They were creating pressure. They were doing all that, keeping the offense off balance. Millard West, they're a team to watch. They're in my next 3. Outside the top 10. Like I said, 1-point loss. I feel like it's still they still showed a lot in that. But anyways, Millard South, great team. They will play Elkhorn South. Jet Tomla to AJ Jack or Marion Jackson is going to be another one of those lethal combinations in the upcoming 3 years. So 2-3 years or whatever. So yeah, so Bellevue West at number 5, they do drop down from number 2, 3 spots. They had that loss to Omaha North we just talked about. And they had that week 0 game against Prep where it kind of left a little something to be desired. Knowing how much talent they have on that team. And this week, Omaha North, with that defense, they kind of came in and maybe exposed some of those holes. I don't know. Maybe it was just a bad game without Isaiah in the offense. Maybe threw off what they were trying to do. I don't know. Definitely not hitting the panic button on this Bellevue West team. They still have a ton of talent. Still have, they're gonna get Isaiah back. They have Davon still. Danny back there, slinging it. Like I said, the running back duo is going to be, tough to handle once they kind of find their footing a little bit more. Defensively, they have a ton of players that can get after the quarterback. Dylan Sheard's a monster. Stanley Hayter had 3 sacks the first game. I have yet to see the stats for this week's, but I know Ponyo Duduit. I'm not exactly sure. Sorry if I butchered that. He's been a terror the past 2 weeks. He's someone that when I went to practice, he stood out right away. It's got that, edge presence. And then, of course, Asher back there, very rangy, playing linebacker, can hit, playing the box, playing coverage, very rangy, very speedy. So this talent is there. It's just a matter of, maybe just finding, I don't know, taking that next step as a team. I'm not exactly sure. But like I said, not hitting the panic button. Still, they need to regroup, but hey, they'll be back, man. That's, not counting out Bellevue West team. Number 6, Gretna. They're coming off the 40-14 win over Burke. They have an interesting game coming up against Central. Central's one of those teams I've been talking about all summer as a team to watch out for, a sleeper team. So that'll be an interesting game to watch. But yeah, Gretna came out, handled business. They look solid. Alex Wilcoxon had a solid game. Defensively, they look sharp. Offensive line, they're gonna be, they're just gonna be great on the offensive line. So yeah, not the huge drop off that I think people were expecting. I know there's still quite a few big games coming up on their schedule, where we'll kind of really see exactly what we have with this Gretna team. But Yeah, like I said, not the huge drop off that I think people were expecting. I think this is going to be a very solid, very good Gretna team that especially as the weeks come and go, they're just gonna get better. They're gonna be more experienced. They're gonna gel a lot more, and they have great coaching. So yeah, Gretna at number 6. 7, Papio La Vista. Had a big game against Millard North. Peyton Prestito was running rampant. Had like 138 or 34. I can't remember the exact number. Had 2 rushing touchdowns and then a passing touchdown to pit bound Eric Ingerson. Looked very good. Looked physical. They have a big game coming up this Friday, the Papio Bowl against number 10 Papio South. So that'll be that's going to be one to watch this week. Yeah, definitely a team that has all the tools to be one of those deep playoff teams this season. It seems like they have a ton of playmakers at every position. Kale Johnson's a player that I think is very underrated right now or overlooked in the 2025 class. The offensive line has some monsters on it. Garen Maley, Landon Von Sagern, all those dudes. Dallas Hamilton, obviously, and then in the trenches or in the defensive line, Eric switches over there. Logan Holmeyer is a beast. So yeah, it's gonna be a team to watch. Number 8, we got Kearney. Had a big win over Lincoln East, a very solid, talented Lincoln East team, I think. 41-28. They're have a ton of playmakers on there. Xander Ruin had opened up the scoring for them. And then one player that I mentioned, he had 3 sacks. Sawyer Skilkey. My bad, bro. He had 3 sacks. Sawyer Shilkey. I hope that's how you pronounce it, man. I'm sorry. But yeah, dude, he's a player that I think is going to blow up on the recruiting circuit once more coaches catch wind of him. He's 6'4", 225 pounds, just downhill mauler. Not mauler, just downhill defender who just blow up running backs in the hole, and yeah, just a monster linebacker. Carter Lee is another great receiver / defensive back for them. Looks like they found quarterback. Number 9, I have Grand Island, coming off a thriller against North Platte, 28-27 win. They're coming up to play number 1 Omaha West Side, and then Papio South at number 10. Like I said, they're gonna be playing Papio La Vista, the Monarchs, this Friday in the Papio rivalry. So we'll see. We'll kind of see a little bit more from that Papio South team. Derek Jones is coming off 2 back-to-back monster games. He has them rolling, or that running game just rolling right now. Titans are 2-0. So that'll be a fun game to watch. All right, so just going through the Class B top 10 real quick. Number 1, we have Bennington. Number 2, Elkhorn North. 3, Scotts Bluff. 4, Waverly. 5, Gross Catholic. 6, Scott Catholic. 7, Norris. 8, York. 9, Plattsmouth. And number 10, Elkhorn. All right, so here's my week 2 top 10. Number 1, I have Bennington. Had that controversial 14-13 win over Omaha Scott Catholic. So I'm not really going to get into that, whether it was a touchdown or not. At the end of the day, it's already over with, and both teams have to move on to the next opponent. But, they looked like they had a bit of growing pains this season, or in that first game. So it'll be interesting to see how they respond and play against a hungry number 9 Plattsmouth team. Number 2, Elkhorn North. They had a bye week, so no real change there. They'll host Lincoln Northwest this week. 3, Scotts Bluff. They had a 34-7 win over Pius. They'll travel to play against Class A rival North Platte. North Platte's 0-2 at the moment, so they'll be looking for their first win of the season. So I'm expecting this game to be a dogfight. Expect a lot of Sebastian Serco. Expect a lot of Sebastian Boyle. Running the ball. So yeah, that's gonna be a tough one. For Waverly, they beat Elkhorn 35-14. Pretty solid win there. Kind of flexed their muscle with the running game. Just defensively, very, very physical. Number 5, Gross Catholic, 35-16 win over Beatrice. They were runner-up last season, lost a lot of talent. Maybe aren't expected to be super good this year, but when you look at, they still have a lot of talent. Colby Duncan, he's like that. He's still slinging it out there. Had a big game against Beatrice on Friday, so I'm not counting them out at all. This is gonna be a team to watch. As the season progresses. 6, Scott Catholic, coming off, like I mentioned, that loss against Bennington. Tough loss, but hey, man, I'm sure coaches will have them fired up for the next week. They go and play. They travel to GI Northwest. They'll be looking to get back on the right track there. So tough how that game went down. But like I said, the tough teams, the mentally strong teams are able to take that and maybe use it as some fuel. So we'll see how that affects Scott. 7, Norris had a tough, very close loss to Seward, 14-7. I believe it was like a goal line stand that ended the game. Still a very good team, talented team. So I didn't feel like they should drop a ton. They do drop 2 spots from last week. They're at number 5. Number 8, York. Looked dominant against Lexington, 46-0. Ton of playmakers on there. Leighton Snodgrass is going to be a player that I think shakes up 2025 class quite a bit. So watch out for him. They head out to Hastings, or they host Hastings this week. So, Hastings coming off a win, so solid opponent there. Try to get 2-0. Number 9, Plattsmouth, close win against Blair, a solid Blair team, 30-27. They'll be heading to face the defending back-to-back champs in Bennington. Physical team. Is a team that's going to be solid in the trenches. They're gonna, they're gonna try to beat you up for sure in the trenches. Watch out for that game. If Bennington comes out and maybe doesn't start so hot like they did last week, maybe Plattsmouth could catch them sleeping. So you never know. What I'm trying to say is it's a solid Plattsmouth team. So there, yeah. Number 10, Elkhorn, took that 35-14 loss to Waverly. Maybe gotta figure out a couple more answers. Number 10, Elkhorn, lost to Waverly 35-14. Do have some young players on there. So I think once they kind of figure it all out, I think it's gonna be a solid team. They always play physical. They have a solid group of very versatile athletes. Play both sides of the ball. So yeah, I mentioned earlier that game against Norris, at Norris. So both teams will be looking to get back on the right track. All right, so now we're at Class C1. Got the top 10. Just going through them real quick. Number 1, Boone Central. 2, Ashland Greenwood. 3, Aurora. 4, McCook. 5, Roncalli Catholic. 6, Adams Central. 7 Wahoo, 8 Platteview, 9 Minden, and 10 Gothenburg. Just kind of going through the list real quick. Boone Central beat a very solid Broken Bow team 48-0. Great win there. They have a huge matchup against number 3 Aurora this week. That is going to be fireworks. That is going to be, that's going to be a tough one for both teams. Number 2 Ashland Greenwood, beat 28-3 Columbus Lakeview. Another very good team. They got another tough matchup as well. They got Wahoo this week. Tons of talent on. Drake Zimmerman had a monster game. Dane Jacobson is solid at QB. He can get it done in the air with his legs. Thomas Spears, just electric dude. So this Ashland Greenwood team, this is a team that I think is going to be solid this year. One to watch for sure. Number 3, Aurora, beat Class B Grand Island Northwest, or their rival Grand Island Northwest, 50-30. Another team that they lost a huge group of seniors, and people were expecting a bit of a fall off, but man, they put up points at 50 on a solid Northwest team, Class B team at that. Like I said earlier, that matchup with Boone is going to be, it's gonna really shape Class C1, from here on out. So definitely keep an eye on that. Number 4 McCook, beat Cozad 28-0. Solid. They have a ton of great athletes. Can move the ball at will. They're going to be solid. Number 5 Roncalli Catholic. Bit of a track race there. With Wayne, 43-33. I believe it was a pretty close game up until the end there. When Roncalli was able to kind of ice it there. But Wayne kept them on their toes. Regardless, Roncalli, their offense looks very explosive. Defensively, they have a ton of great players, a great leader in Clay Schaefer. So I believe they'll round out there on defense. Especially once they get to a little bit harder part of the schedule. So number 5 Roncalli Catholic. Number 6 Adams Central. They played Minden in a bit of a weird game. They started off on Friday, but with some rain delays and some weather, affecting the game. They ended up having to finish the game on Saturday. So 7-6. Kind of speaks to just the weirdness of the game. And I'll talk a little bit about Minden here in a bit. Wahoo beat defending Class C1 champ Pierce 23-6. Looked very solid doing it. Defensively, looked good. They look stout. Offensively, I think they're going to be a team that's going to be able to put up a lot of points as well. They have some good athletes on there. Avery Wheatling, Josh and Sam Edmonds. Sorry. Some good athletes. This is going to be a team that, depending on what happens against Ashland Greenwood, very high ceiling for this team. Platteview, number 8, debuting on the rankings, won against Falls City, 47-14. Another team that I think is going to be able to put up a ton of points this season. They found their quarterback replacement. They had long time starter Jared Kuhl. Kuhl was graduated. So that was maybe one of my questions as to who was going to take up that spot. And Owen Stalick, senior, he just came in, stepped in, and had a really great game. Of course, the running game, when you rush two of your running backs rush for 120 plus each, that's obviously going to make the game a lot, easier for you. Reed Patera's a very good back. Brandon Bills, a junior, he kind of broke out, had a bit of a breakout game there. 123 rushing yards, 70 and a touchdown. Going back to Owen, he was 7 for 14, 215 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 58 on the ground, 58 rushing yards, and then an additional 2 on the 2 rushing touchdowns. So, 4 touchdown game. He was on one. His tight end, big man, Riemann Ziebert, also 133 receiving yards, 2 touchdowns. Yeah. This is gonna be a solid team. Number 9, Minden. Like I mentioned talking about Adams Central, did have that weird game. 7-6. They lost 7-6. I feel like, given the circumstances, maybe if on a normal game, maybe I haven't been able to watch the game, so I don't want to just talk like out of my neck, but. Yeah, maybe given a normal game, it might be a different outcome. Maybe there's a little bit more offense. Maybe we're able to see something out of both teams, because both teams can put up numbers. So we'll see what Minden does. Still a great team. I feel like they're definitely gonna be in the playoff race towards the end of the season. But yeah, hopefully we get to see them in more normal circumstances. So. Yeah, and then number 10, Gothenburg, another debut on the rankings. I don't think people are hearing me, man, when I'm saying Gothenburg has some solid talent out there right now. I think we're gonna see that this season. Cooper, I keep butchering, man. I say it every time, but I keep butchering it. Cooper Kuhn. Sorry, bro. Jackson Dom. Just a bunch of dudes that can get after it on both sides of the ball. Hit. They can make plays on offense, all that kind of stuff. They have a tough matchup this week against number 4, Cook. So that's gonna how they play that game is gonna say a lot about this team. But yeah, I'm excited to watch this Gothenburg team in the upcoming weeks. All right, Class C2 is my top 10. Goes like this. Number 1, Norfolk Catholic. Number 2, Ord. 3, Battle Creek. 4, Bishop Neumann. 5, Cedar Catholic. 6, Malcolm. 7, Oakland Craig. 8, Hastings St. Cecilia. 9, Fillmore Central. And 10, Mitchell. So kind of just going through them. Defending state champs at number 1. No movement there. They beat Oakland Craig, a very good Oakland Craig team, 42-27. And then they'll play the number 2 team, Ord, this Friday. So that's going to be another heavyweight bout to watch. Very exciting team. Both teams can, just slug it out. They can pass it. They can run it. It's going to be a great game. Ord, beat Central City 49-29, so they looked very good in their opening game. Battle Creek, looked very good against Archbishop Bergen, beat them 51-7. Behind Trent Euler, Jackson Mettler. They both popped off for solid games. Number 4, Bishop Neumann. They jump up with the Oakland Craig loss. They had a very good game, 55-0 over Milford. Cedar Catholic also a 55-0 win. They beat Takema Herman. Those teams are going to be ones to watch. They'll probably jump into the top 3 depending on what happens with that Norfolk Catholic Ord game. So Malcolm, man, they can put up some points, dude. They got some explosive offense. Maddox Meyer taking over for graduated Hayden Frank. threw for 360 some yards, 5 touchdowns. We'll talk about him here in a bit. Logan McGreer. This is me getting on my soapbox for Logan McGreer, wide receiver / defensive back. He's gonna be someone that coaches need to get on ASAP. He's just a speedy receiver, very good at getting behind defenses. Hauled in 4 receptions for 175 yards and 4 touchdowns. So he went 4 for 4, man. That's a Randy Moss type statistic, man. And he had a pick. So coaches, man, quit playing. Start talking to this man. Oakland Craig, they had that loss to Norfolk Catholic. Granted it was, 15-point loss, but it's against a very, very good team. And Oakland Craig, they're very good as well. They're a team that I predict to bounce back nicely. They'll be back in the thick of it. Great team. Number 8, Hastings St. Cecilia. They had a 20-14 win over Wilbur Clatonia. Hoping to see a little bit more from them in the upcoming weeks. Number 9, Fillmore Central. 52-14 win over David City. Number 10, Mitchell. They had a 55-24 dub over Wheatland from Wyoming. So that kind of rounds out my top 10 in Class C1. All right, Class D1, I'm going to go through them real quick. Number 1, North Platte St. Patrick. Number 2, Cross County. 3, Stanton. 4, Weeping Water. 5, EMF. 6, Thayer Central. 7, Highline. 8, Clarkson Lee. 9, Elmwood Murdoch. And number 10, Shelby Rising City. Some changes, no changes in the top 2. North Platte St. Pat's and Cross Country stay put. Had big wins. St. Pat's is 2-0. 35-0 win over Cambridge. They host Highline, number 7, this week. Cross County dominated as well, 64-12 over Sutton. Number 3 is where we see our first change. Stanton moves up to number 3. Clarkson Lee, after they had that loss to EMF. EMF cracks the top 10, not just the top 10, top 5 as well. That offense is going to be very explosive. Brecken Schluter is the truth. He is just a monster, man. He can rack up the yardage, rack up touchdown, or as a nose for the end zone, all that. Weeping Water, slides up to number 4 from number 7. Had a big win over 38 over Palmyra. 38-12. Braden Harms had a monster game for them. I'll talk about him here shortly. Thayer Central, 28-14 win over McCool Junction. Thayer Central is just one of those teams that I feel like, they're just going to be solid every year. They have Sam Sourdike toting the rock. He's a monster until people can find ways to stop him. They're going to be a force. Highline, Ryker Evans, man. Ryker Evans is a dude. 7 total touchdowns. He had 2 passing touchdowns, 3 rushing touchdowns, a pick 6, and punt return for touchdown. Talk about him more as well. They travel out to number 1, North Platte St. Pat, so that's going to be a big game for them, big test for them, as well as North Platte St. Pat. See kind of where both teams stand this year. 2 teams with some very good talent on each team. Number 8, Clarkson Lee, took that loss to EMF, 58-38. Tough loss, yes, but they had a tough loss last year towards the end of the season. It still ended very well for them, anyways. So like I said, tough to take the loss, but in the grand scheme of things, Clarkson Lee still had some players show out for them, so I think they'll be all right, and I definitely see them continue to climb up this list. Number 9, Elmwood Murdoch, debuting on the list. They're 58-30 over Sacred Heart, and then Shelby Rising as well, 48-0 over Heartland. 2 teams on the rise, 2 teams that Shelby Rising has some tough runners on that team. All right, so Class D2, Week 2. Let's see, just going through them real quick. Number 1. All right, so now we're at Class D2, top 10. Again, just going through them real quick. Number 1, Howes Dodge. 2, Bloomfield. 3, Dundee County. 4, Ainsworth. 5, Hitchcock County. 6, Wynot. 7, Central Valley. 8, Sandhill Stedford. 9, Bruning Davenport Shickley. And 10, South Loop. Kind of just some changes here right off the bat. Howes Dodge, no change there. Came out, had a monster game. Bloomfield moves up to number 2. First change. Dundee County had a good game. They were last week's number 2. They had a good game against Julesburg from Colorado. But just watching that Bloomfield offense, man, they can go. Wiley Ziegler is a monster at running back. They could pass the ball very well. They play good defense. So, Bloomfield's going to be a force in Class D2. Ainsworth, top player in the state, Carter Nelson, had just an absolute monster game. Let me see here. Had 89 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, 118 rushing yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, 156 receiving yards, 2 receiving touchdowns, 3 tackles, a forced fumble, and recovered a fumble. We'll talk about him a little bit more here shortly. Hitchcock County, Wynot, Central Valley, all had solid wins. Hitchcock County 54-12 over Bayard. They'll play number 8 Sandhill Stedford this week. Wynot beat Hartington Newcastle 50-26. Central Valley 46-20 win over Fullerton. Sandhill Stedford, solid team. They had a big win over Burwell 45-20. Number 9, Bruning Davenport Shickley, had a 32 win over High Plains Community. And South came in and took down a top 10 team in Elm Creek, pretty convincing fashion as well, 48-21. There's a ton of teams in Class D2 that definitely could have have a solid case for the rankings. Teams like Osceola. But yeah, this is one of those classes that's it's gonna be a dogfight till the very end, and it's gonna be a battle of attrition for sure. So, all right, Class D6. I was doing top 6 the first 2 weeks. Now I'm moving into a top 8. So just going through that real quick. Number 1, SEM. 2, Potter Dix. 3, Parkview Christian. 4, Red Cloud. 5, Arthur County. 6, Pawnee City. 7, Hampton. And number 8, Cody Kilgore. In that D6 group, SEM had a big win over Brady, 67-21. Potter Dix, 73-0 over Minutair. A couple of teams did have bye weeks, Parkview Christian and Red Cloud. Wait until next week to kick off their season. Arthur County, 48-28 over Garden County. Pawnee City, 56-12 win over St. Edward. Hampton, 2-0. They've had 2 big blowout wins back to back. This week they beat out Lewiston 38-16. And Cody Kilgore, another team that's going to be one to watch in the playoffs, 64-14 over Wallace. So those are my top 10s in each class. I hope you guys let me know how I did in the comments. Tell me where I missed, what I got right, which teams. Tell me what your top 10s are. Or maybe even tell me what teams I need to be keeping an eye out for as well. So that was my rankings. So next up, last thing I got going on for this episode is last week I introduced, not on here, but on Instagram I introduced a weekly award I'm going to be doing. It's brought to us by our awesome sponsors, Rexius Nutrition in Ralston. If you haven't checked them out, go do so immediately. They have a great line of all kinds of supplements you could need: protein, pre-workout, branched chain amino acids, protein bars, all that kind of stuff. And they're very knowledgeable, very awesome people to go in there and talk to, and always looking to help. So check them out. But the award is weekly or the most dialed in player of the week. So this is going to be going to the player who went out the week before and just balled out. Just dialed in and didn't look back, lit it up on the field. It's not an offensive award, it's not a defensive award. It could be given to a running back that scored 7 touchdowns. It could be given to an offensive lineman who scored no touchdowns but just ate up defenders all game. Just players that were the most dialed in. So I got 5 players for this week, and I'll have you guys vote, and we'll announce it at the end of the week who is the most dialed-in player of week 1. So here are the 5 players that were requested. So here are the 5 players that I either looked at their stats and thought they deserve a nomination, or on Instagram I also put out a little survey or question sticker on my story, whatever it's called, and people send in suggestions. So some of these were suggested as well by their peers. All right, first of all, we got Champ Davis, Omaha North sophomore wide receiver / athlete. Just absolutely went out there and killed it. 6 receptions, 183 receiving yards, and 3 touchdowns. Just absolutely dialed in. He was his connection with quarterback Sebastian Serco, just a major reason why they were able to pull off the upset win that they did. He's someone that will probably be hearing on this awards list, several times this season. I just balled out, man. All right, we got number 2, Ryker Evans. Just stuffed the stat sheet for sure. Passing, so let's see. He went 4 for 5 passing for 82 passing yards, 2 touchdowns for a QBR of 160. Then he had 15 carries for 130 yards, 3 rushing touchdowns. Then on the defensive side, he had 11 tackles and a pick 6. And just as a cherry on top, he added a 49-yard punt return touchdown. Bringing his total to 7 touchdowns on the night in the season opener. He's nice like that. Just dialed in, Air Force commit. Baller. The third nominee, Carter Nelson. Obviously Husker Nation knows a lot about Carter and his abilities, but just dominant player, man. He went out, threw for 89 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, 118 rushing yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, 3 receptions for 156 yards, 2 receiving touchdowns, 3 tackles, a forced fumble, and a fumble recovery. I'm still trying to figure out, I'm still trying to get confirmation as to whether the 2 passing touchdowns he threw to himself as his 2 receiving touchdowns. Still no word on that yet, but when we figure that out, we'll let you know. Just a baller, man. Absolute gamer on the field. Whatever you need from him, he could produce. You need him on passing, rushing, catching the ball, he could do it. Tackling, he could do it. Clear why he's the top player in the state. 4th option, Braden Harms, defensive end for Weeping Water. Just a dominant player, man. Just went out there and dominated the game. 18 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, and 2 sacks. Just dialed up. Just constant pressure for opposing quarterback in the backfield as well. Didn't allow the running game to really get established very well. Yeah, just a baller on the field. And then a 5th nominee is going to be Maddox Meyer, quarterback from Malcolm. First game of the season, I'm guessing it's his first start as a quarterback. But, first time seeing action under center like that. And he just came out and just dominated. He threw for 368 passing yards and 5 passing touchdowns. Had a led the Clippers over a big win over a tough UTAN team with a monster defense. So, just dialed in, man. He was absolutely dialed in. Well, yeah, those are the 5 players nominated for this week's most dialed in player of the week, presented by Rexius Nutrition in Ralston. They are Champ Davis from Omaha North, Ryker Evans from Highline, Carter Nelson from Ainsworth, Braden Harms from Weeping Water, and Maddox Meyer from Malcolm. So I'm gonna have a link down in the description where you can go and vote. I'll also tweet it out. I'll have it on Instagram. You could vote for it. I believe I'll set the close for it to close on Thursday. So we can get that out to the players. So but yeah, that is the most dialed in. That is the dialed in player of the week. Go ahead and vote. And that should be it. That is all for the episode. Stay tuned. Keep subscribe, like, share, do all that. We're bringing more and more content for you guys. I'm finding different players to interview, all that kind of stuff. So I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you guys tuning in, watching me ramble about whatever. So yeah, thank you guys, and catch you later. All right, so now we got Class C1 top 10. We got number 1, Boone Central, 2, Ashland Greenwood, 3, Aurora, 4, McCook, 5, Roncalli Catholic, 6, Adams Central, 7, Wahoo, 8, Platteview, 9, Minden, and 10, Gothenburg.